to the Brighton and Buddy show. Here we're talking about geometry another day. This is me, Brighton, and my mate Buddy, who runs the show.
This is us running the show, and we are kind of feeding off of each other's energy, and we have some different shapes that we hop into every week or periodically throughout your week.
Now, this week we are covering the dodecahedron and the Reuleaux triangle.
Now, we're going to get into not only just the dodecahedron, but also the hyperbolic dodecahedron and the three-dimensional Reuleaux triangle. And a Reuleaux triangle isn't something that most people know, and a lot of people aren't even familiar with a dodecahedron. So you want to give us some of the basics of that, Brighton?
Yeah. A Reuleaux triangle is a triangle composed from three circles put together. And if we were to take a triangle and extend a circle from each point outwards, see the radius of this circle right here, this one starts right here at the tip of the triangle. And you extend it so that it reaches the two other points of the triangle on all 3 points, all three apexes. You will have the Reuleaux triangle, which is this beautiful shape right here in the middle. And the Reuleaux triangle has some absolutely phenomenal properties that blow away even most mathematicians when they first come across it, because if you think of any shape that has an equal width, no matter which way you spin around it, its width is always equal in the second dimension. The circle is the first one that comes to mind. But after that, there aren't many that come to mind. Well, it happens to be that Reuleaux shapes are also equal in width on all and diameter across all sides. So from here, actually, I have a video I can pull up to show that. And because they're equal, this is like rotating circles. You can imagine a circle at the apex or the center rotating, and these, all of them, they are... What?
They're touching?
Yeah, they're touching. They're touching.
Mm-hmm. Did you make this animation?
I did. The music is by Prod Lee. It's royalty-free music as well.
Perfect. Thank you for putting royalty-free music in.
Yeah. And so what's going on here is that these are moving just by the center. And they are constantly touching each other. And they have a structural formation that's similar to the Sierpinski triangle, which, for those that are not familiar...
Excuse me. If I'm not mistaken, there's also engines that are based off of this this shape.
There's engines, there's coins, there's all sorts of stuff. Now, this is the Sierpinski triangle, and it's a fractal. If I can get a GIF on this, showing the growth of the structure. It goes inwards and inwards and inwards, but the tiling is constant, and it fits within the flower of life. So with the Reuleaux triangle, there's many ways to tile it, but here is the flower of life, and this is a Reuleaux triangle inside the flower of life. This is another tiling structure. Here's a Reuleaux triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's another, which you just saw in the video, and the Reuleaux triangle again.
Now, what if you had like a whole huge network of these as like, I don't know, maybe like I'm thinking technologically, like drones or murmurations of, are you familiar with murmurations?
I'm not.
It's how birds fly together in flocks and like how fish swim together. So maybe drone technology and these like, I guess, in synchronization. I don't know. In my head, I was kind of thinking of how those might be able to go together.
Are you bringing up how maybe their body shape or they make an arrow-like shape?
Yeah, and like it would be an easy way to use, I guess, that for to program the programs uh, in a whole bunch of them. I see it. I see it in I guess in my head here. Um, but yeah, murmurations are beautiful, and in my head, I see those that shape as being necessary component of murmurations because of the way that the tip of the bird's nose is and the wings and the tail, and as they're moving around, I see that as a three-dimensional moving creature. I go to biologically thinking like naturally, so I think of it as a living creature right away when we're talking about shapes.
I get you.
Yeah.
Well, talking about living creatures, there's the planet Earth, and I found this absolutely fascinating diagram made by Leonardo da Vinci, and it uses the Reuleaux triangle to map the Earth, which
You have it.
is a remarkable feat. This is it right here.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
so to give you better clarity of what's going on, it takes 8 Reuleaux triangles and you kind of put them together in a ball shape like this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like the image that I just showed you. I shared with you.
Oh
Can
yeah,
you pull that up? It's on our chat, please.
absolutely.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, because I'm working with these shapes as well.
And I'm
Um,
trying to get to the chat. Oh, it should be this, shouldn't it?
yeah, right in our name. Right. If you yep,
All
go
right.
through to maybe the next one. These kind of things. And the next one as well. But you can see it inside of the set. And this is projective mapping. If you go to the next one or the next one, yeah, right there, and
Oh,
then yep, right there, you can see how it projects outward. It as it scales outward.
hmm.
But these, I want to see these in motion. If you could put these in motion, I'm curious to see what might happen because the whole entire thing can be sketched with these, and they're not exactly Reuleaux triangles, but they're similar, and they're formed with three circles. But
Well,
that would take some time. So anyway, you were talking about Leonardo da Vinci, and this looks similar to his sketch. If you want to get back to that,
yeah, it does look very similar. And they look like obtuse, like isosceles, but they are also still Reuleaux. They're not a regular Reuleaux, but they're still Reuleaux.
yeah. And if you go to the first one, there's Reuleaux squares.
Let's see.
That
These,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, these are like Reuleaux rhombus planes because they've been elongated in one fashion. Now, I'm seeing this in your toroidal field here, how it's coming straight out and it's part of the toroidal field.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way to involve Reuleaux triangles inside toroidal fields.
Oh, indeed. And I think that's where we need to step into inside of toroidal fields and helical fields, because staring down the center of this geometry and the Doherty network is the same as staring down one of the branches.
So this
Oh,
is 64 tetrahedron grid. Oh, it doesn't come up with hyperbolic in the name. That's tough luck.
Maybe the hyperbolic cube octahedron.
Well, it would be the tetra-octahedral honeycomb. And
but turning it to hyperbolic.
Because here, if I pull this up, it's the Reuleaux triangle is not just a second dimensional shape. There's also the Reuleaux tetrahedron. And yes, there's the mapping. Bingo. Okay. So the Reuleaux tetrahedron is made out of 4 spheres that come together and intersect. And it makes this beautiful hyperbolic tetrahedron. But if we take this shape and tessellate it like so, because these are all tetrahedrons in here, and we tessellate it throughout the structure, you get a hyperbolic set with hyperbolic octahedrons and hyperbolic tetrahedrons, or Reuleaux tetrahedrons.
Yeah.
In between these, you have these seeds, these petals that look like this beauty here. And these seeds, actually, that reminds me that Michael Evans was working on these as well. He called these seeds, I think, a light structure, the structure of light.
Mm-hmm. The trion rays?
Yes, the trion ray.
Trion rays, yes.
Yeah, and so in the center here, they have a Reuleaux triangle, and then they are a
is it a 3D Reuleaux, or just a Reuleaux triangle?
It is well, this is a third-dimensional structure with the Reuleaux triangle in the center here. So if you imagine like if this is shortened, these would be Reuleaux tetrahedrons. And you could put 2 of them together to have a Reuleaux bitetrahedron.
Okay.
But now it's just a bipyramid, but it has a Reuleaux triangle that goes straight through the center here.
Okay.
I wonder if we can even see it in there. Sort of. Yeah. And so it's a bipyramid with the triangle, and it forms. And between these, you'll have a hyperbolic tetrahedron and hyperbolic octahedron. I think I've seen this on the Renaissance. There was a page that does this. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to find it right away.
Michael Evans has a lot of that hyperbolic Reuleaux triangle, because today we're getting into the Reuleaux and the dodecahedron and hyperbolic dodecahedron.
Well, I might as well pull some of this hyperbolic dodecahedral geometry up, because the hyperbolic dodecahedron also has the Reuleaux triangle within it. And you can see that right here.
Oh yeah, look at that. There she is. And this is all like how Terrence Howard's geometry too. When he was working with this, that's how he came up with it was bubbles kissing and bubbles meeting and kissing spheres and minimal surface packing.
Yeah. Now,
Gorgeous.
this is the hyperbolic dodecahedron, and a very similar, extremely similar structure to this is the rhombic hexacantahedron. In fact, you can even see the hyperbolic octahedron in there. I mean, hyperbolic dodecahedron in there. It kind of just bends those ends inwards.
Mm-hmm.
And the rhombic hexacantahedron is a sort of straight-edged. It is composed. If we take this petal right here and take it down to the center, let me get rid of the hyperbolic dodecahedron. Yeah, if we take this part right here, this almost cube, but it's actually a rhombohedra.
Mm-hmm.
Its ratio from this end down to this end is 1, and then from the other apex down to the other apex is 5. And so it's made out of golden rhombohedra, and it fits perfectly within the dodecahedron, like so.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Now this shape right here reminds me of like studying like Kepler's stars and like uh Archimedean solids. Ah, this is beautiful.
Well, the dodecahedron is a platonic solid.
Yeah.
And I think the hexacantahedron is also a Archimedean solid.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm not positive on that, though.
All right.
Now, the dodecahedron doesn't just come in one form because this is the regular dodecahedron. If I pull that out, yeah, the regular dodecahedron. But there's also other structures that are dodecahedral. Now, dodeca means 12, and hedron means faces or planes. And an example of a dodecahedron is, well, this right here. It has 12 faces all come together. And the beautiful thing about this structure, which is a Belinsky dodecahedron, or Belinsky rhombic dodecahedron, and its ratio from here to here again is phi, and then from the other two apices is 1. And
Wow.
now it's very similar to the regular dodecahedron because if you, let's see, if you take this down, it's an elongation of the regular rhombic dodecahedron. And then that is an elongation of the, let's see, the octahedron. Yeah. And crystals, they're growing like this. And we have like capsids. Capsids, they are, you know what a capsid is?
A capsid for is that spicy for hot?
No. Well, maybe, but I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure about that. But
Okay.
thinking about the cells that are like the capsid is a protein shell that surrounds a cell or virus. And these capsids have very geometric compositions that are strongly related to the dodecahedron. Uh,
Okay. Like a virus, a capsid.
yeah, let me see
Okay.
if I still have that page up. Yes, I do. And so these here are capsids.
Ah, okay. Looks spicy to me.
And there's a whole lot of these, but they, yeah.
Wow.
And when you get into studying how these solids come together, it becomes apparent that they're using quasi-crystalline structures. Like the first shape you saw was a icosahedron. Now it's an icosahedron and it's growing more icosahedrons and then indented dodecahedrons, and it keeps expanding.
Turn your music down a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. Just a little. Yeah, perfect.
More dodecahedrons. This is also royalty-free music. Yeah. So.
Beautiful.
And there's many ways that these structures can come together. Like, this is a beautiful example. This is with the hexacontahedron and rhombic tricontahedron. It creates a gigantic icosahedron. And this tiling structure is actually expandable. You can do it odd or even number sets, but it's infinitely expandable.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's a total space filling. So this is kind of what I wanted to get into. There's not only one way to tile and tessellate space. This is another way how to space to completely space fill using vectors and tile and tessellate space. Not just like the isotropic vector matrix, but there's other ways. There's the cube way, right? This way.
Yes, yes. You can take a cubic honeycomb and create.
What do you mean by honeycomb? Why do you call this a honeycomb?
Well, so uniform space filling tiling structures are called honeycombs. That's just the name they've been given.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's now I understand more of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a cube, but if you separate it into these faces, it actually has into rectangular faces. It has 12 faces, and instead of a regular 6. Now, I've gone ahead. This is a video I got from Wiki, but I've gone ahead, put some music over it, and written down the names. Now, a pyritohedron is, if you've ever seen iron pyrite, known as fool's gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what this is. It's composed of this kind of shape here. And it's like a wonky dodecahedron. But it creates a space-filling tiling structure out of this, and it's another one of those. The pyritohedron is also another one of those solids that you find when you're exploring bubble geometry, and so it's a space-optimizing form. And if we keep expanding this through the same motion, it turns into a dodecahedron, and then a rhombic dodecahedron. And if you elongate it further, it becomes the Belinsky rhombic dodecahedron, but that's the whole set of motion. So one more time, it just takes those ends and elongates them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and rotates the corners of the cube as well. Now, to see one of these honeycombs, I've actually diagrammed one real quick, and this is with the Belinsky rhombic dodecahedron, and it is space-filling. And there, I did the 4-part tiling on it because of how the tiles fit together in this pattern, but it's all cubic. So if you were to shorten the elongation and then take these together and reduce the formation so it becomes a cube again, it would be the regular cubic honeycomb.
Okay.
And so you can kind of imagine that a crystal, it starts as like a cubic honeycomb or some other geometric form, but it over time and from thermodynamics and heat and pressure and sonar waves and all this stuff going on, all these cymatics, it decides to elongate and become oblique and push in certain ways and pull in other ways, and it forms crystals like this. Now, with the hyperbolic dodecahedron, there's more geometries that are laden within it. For example, if we elongate these ends, the pentagonal faces of the dodecahedron, we get a stellated dodecahedron. But this isn't the only kind of stellated dodecahedron. There's also the, if I pull up the, I got to do this in a certain order so it makes sense, so you can see what's going on. And then I'm going to pull up the hyperbolic dodecahedron so you can see how it breaks down. And then right here, and this is beautifully diagrammed, it is so fascinating what this hyperbolic dodecahedron does next, which is, it is an Icosy dodecahedron. And if I get rid of the hyperbolic dodecahedron, you can see the Icosy dodecahedron. And if we stellate this, it becomes the great stellated dodecahedron.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
I think you got my voice on a higher. That's better. I don't know. It's hard to do both. Maybe
well,
work on the vocals.
yeah.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, cool.
Now, breaking it back, going up again, if we take the dodecahedron, its dual polytope is the icosahedron.
Wow, dude, these are absolutely beautiful.
When you put both of these together and you connect the faces or the apices, you get a rhombic tricontahedron, which looks like this. And the beautiful thing about the rhombic tricontahedron is that you can take let's see, the rhombic hexacontahedron. Now if I go ahead and grab this in here, oh, I might as well just do it this way. And I might have to expand this by 5 because of the difference in ratio. So 1.61339, beautiful. And these come cusp together perfectly. So just like so.
Like a snug glove.
Oh yeah. And this is what creates space-filling quasi-crystalline aperiodic tiling.
Like a glove. Jim Carrey. Sorry, had to do a Jim Carrey reference.
All right. Now,
that's absolutely beautiful. So you've taken the time to map these out yourself, right?
Yeah. Everything I just showed was my own mapping. Is my screen still showing?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like you sent some photos.
I did send some photos, and I was curious about some of the history of some of these shapes. I don't know if you or I really got down to the bottom of that in our research, but I got my daughter here playing with my dog, and all right. So I don't know if we really got to the bottom of this history on that.
Well,
did you?
Yeah, I've done some research on it and found some interesting things. The discovery of the hyperbolic dodecahedron, it It all began with Euclid's fifth postulate, which is about parallel lines. And the postulate is if you take, I might as well try to diagram this because otherwise it wouldn't make too much sense.
So it's basically, since he said it's all straight lines, people broke it and said you can break it and be non-Euclidean.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where it starts then.
And the people that came up with this concept on hyperbolic geometry and said, you take two lines. So the Euclid's postulate was you take two lines and they're uh, it only takes 2 seconds to diagram.
Sure, sure. If you have the means to do so, I'd love to learn.
I'm already 90% done.
Okay.
Okay. So now, yeah, Euclid's postulate was saying, hey, if this is, 90 degrees, that's 90 degrees. So you have 180 degrees, okay? And this is also going to be 180 degrees.
I can't see you if you think that I can see you.
Oh, you're not on my, oh. Okay.
I don't see your
Screen.
Yeah. All I see is a bubble of your image, not your face, not your video.
Okay, well, then let me fix that. There we go. Okay.
Okay, now I got you.
So this is 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, right? And the sum is 180.
Mm-hmm.
This postulate was that if you take if two parallel lines, they're perpendicular, a perpendicular plane has to be 180 degrees. Pardon me, 90 degrees, right, continuously.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the sum of these angles is always 90, if this is always 90 and this is always 90, then to this and this, then these lines will never cross. But as soon as this becomes less than 90 degrees right here, and let's say that line's continuous, and it becomes greater than 90 to the perpendicular to this line, then what happens is they cross eventually, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
They'll cross. And a lot of people for a very long time, and happening is Janos Bull-Yai and Nikolai Chevsky, if I'm saying those names correctly.
Who?
Nikolai Lobachevsky and Janos Bull-Yai.
That's how your research of the some of the first hyperbolic mathematicians?
Yes, they proposed after a very long time after Euclid, a new set of geometry where if you take a sphere and you try to, this is a great example, you take a sphere and you try to put two parallel lines over it, at some point they'll cross. And so in non-Euclidean geometry, lines do cross. Even if they're supposedly supposed to be parallel, they will cross. Okay. And so that's where this concept of the Euclid's fifth postulate was broken down. And actually, Einstein, he took it way further, and he separated the. See, time and space were before separate concepts, but he put them together as space-time, and then even further went ahead and said, this space-time is curved.
Who did? Einstein?
Einstein, yes. Yeah. And as for the Reuleaux triangle, with this phenomenal mapping, with the phenomenal features that allow you to measure areas and all sorts of constructs that can be done with these, they were discovered by a French mathematician, which I'm spacing his first name, but his last name was Reuleaux. So that's where that name came from.
Okay. Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I have a few things to here to show. If I could show my screen when you're done showing some of what you got going on.
I'm done. Go ahead.
And I think since this is topic and subject, we should try to give Michael Evans a call and see what he's up to. See if he's got some answers to, and maybe some geometry to show us further into this hyperbolic
Absolutely.
universe.
That'd be phenomenal. You have Michael Evans' phone number.
I do. I got him on Skype here. I can hit him up and see if
He's online.
yeah. Are you seeing my screen? I think you should be.
Yeah.
Okay. You seen it?
Oh,
Cauliflower. Got to blow this up. This is I guess I stopped it instead of blew it up. Anyway, I thought that was cool. I just like that. So,
with how cauliflower is a wonderful fractal.
oh man.
Yeah, with the cruciferous vegetables, and you take a look at a oh, what's that thing that's like broccoli? A Romanesco. Yeah. Oh yeah, there is the Reuleaux triangle, and that looks like Michael Evans' work right there.
Doesn't it? This looks like his work.
That is. I think that is, dude.
He came up with a shape, literally a toy. This looks like his toy.
He went to a museum. I saw a video where he went to a museum with these, and those clasps right in between, they hold these bars.
Oh, there he is. Ha ha!
Of
course, my boy. I love Michael. All right. So that came up. We were just randomly looking at that. I was gonna see, we got clocks, we got movable things here, we got some mechanics, some of the mathematics here for people who, oh, that's cool. A conjugate square in here.
Oh yeah.
We got this here. You can make your own Reuleaux triangle, a model. But what I really wanted to look into, which I didn't pull up ahead of time, which maybe a Reuleaux engine.
Engine.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, you were talking about this.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them are based off of the Reuleaux. You can see them in works here. Reuleaux triangle bearing, is it possible? See who this is. Can probably only show a couple of seconds of it before it's all right, well that loads. I'll hop over here and see what else I got.
Once you pull some stuff up, I'm going to share, if that's all right, my screen. Because I was going to pull the Michael Evans bullets. I realized that.
Please do.
Yeah. Here. Okay. And I'm already here, and it's.
Oh, real quick before you take the screen.
I think I have it right now.
Oh, I don't see your screen. I see mine still. Oh,
there
over
you
here.
Go. You have it now. You have it now. So you're gonna have to hit share screen on Skype.
Oh, okay. Here, we'll be done with mine here in a second. I just wanted to show Giovanni Bruno and his geometry and share how he was burned at the stake for.
Oh, this is wonderful works.
Yeah, this was like 1500s for believing that the universe was infinite and with infinite geometries. I mean, look at this, dude.
This looks like one of those right there.
Some of Leonardo.
What's that called? The Reuleaux the seamless Reuleaux tiling. I don't know if you've ever heard of this tiling before.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, it relates to
So,
the flower of life, and I am seeing the hyperbolic geometry in there as well.
and then I wanted to point out the mandibles of the of bugs and show how the
Look like,
mandibles of the bugs and how they pinch. It's the same kind of dynamic if you can see it of the
Mhm.
Reuleaux.
Oh yeah.
Once one has the eye to see it, it's all up in there. And that I like to think of the biomimicry of the shapes and add that as much as I can in our uh, conversations here. So go ahead and take the screen.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start showing Michael Evans' work because
All right, so you were pulling up some Michael Evans here,
yeah.
and I got him on. I got him on. It looks like he's available. Let me give him a call.
Oh, all right.
Let me ring him up and see. So this is his work.
Yeah.
Anybody who's not familiar with.
Hello there.
Hey, Michael. Nice.
How are you?
Doing good. How's the weather out there? Doing good?
Oh, it's still 85 degrees here.
Woo! We got a lot of snow out here.
Well, Southern California.
Cool.
Let me
So,
clear off my all my stuff that I got here. So how you been?
doing really good. And along my travels, I've met a friend named Brighton Cotter, and we were in the middle of an episode talking about the cube octahedron and
And Reuleaux triangle.
oh, sorry, yes, the dodecahedron and the Reuleaux triangle.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd reach out to you, Brighton. You want to say what's up?
Hello. Yeah, we're talking about your solids. I love your work. Absolutely a fan. Now, we wanted to ask you some questions about the Tryon ray.
Okay.
Yeah, so as the most basic shape, do you see the Tryon ray, if we look at it as a bipyramid with a Reuleaux triangle in the center, or is it a bipyramid with a circle in the center? How do you see the Tryon ray?
Well, I see them as the elemental particle that everything else is created. And then the image that you have up pretty much shows you how it creates all the other regular polyhedra and is a regular polyhedra itself. It also shows the elemental shape and the elemental contained within that solid is the elemental thought, pattern recognition. And as the Tryon ray move throughout the universe, they are just by regular matrix pattern recognition start to form, and in the process form all of the other regular polyhedras, and everything is connected. And the Tryon ray is could be the Higgs, smallest possible space in the universe.
Okay.
That is what I've concluded.
Now the Higgs boson, from my readings, it's the E8 quasi-crystal, which, to get into more depth, it's eighth dimensional solid composed of platonic solids only up to the eighth dimension.
Well, there's a difference between a platonic solid and a regular solid. Platonic solids, there's only 5. Regular solids, there's 6, because the Tryon ray meets all of the requirements of a regular solid. It has 3 edges, it has 3 faces, it has 2 points, vertexes, it has spinability, It has twistability, and
So it's a paradox.
it conforms to Euler's rule of regular polyhedra.
Okay.
So that's the discovery, the sixth regular solid. It doesn't exist in straight line reality. In straight line, it looks like a straight line. But when you get down to the 0.3201, it's not straight.
If you've heard of gravitational lensing does the same kind of effect in science and astronomy.
And the thing that I found most compelling about finding the Tryon ray is that if you follow its pattern and its path, all the rest of the regular polyhedras will be created in the process. And it gives us a path that we can actually see of how things are distributed through the universe, that somehow whatever that particular thing is, it is connected to everything else. What you're showing now is the space between the Tryon rays morphing, spinning. As those Tryon rays contract and expand, this is the kind of images that would see. I'm working on a video, and when I get it done, when we do this, it's going to look just like boiling water.
Wow.
Do all these animations yourself?
Say again?
Do you do all these animations yourself?
No, I do none of them myself. I have a friend of mine that's been working with me for 20 years that does it pretty much for gratis. I have two friends, one in Denmark, one here in California, and their fascination with the Tryon ray, they wanted to understand more about it, and so we've sort of collaborated with me giving them the directions and them being able to do the CNG work.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Would you be willing to divulge their names to
Sure. Absolutely. Francis Bade in Southern California, and Rob Hermans in Denmark.
Yeah, because this is the first episode of this podcast, and we wanted to get deep into the geometry right off the bat. Just go in, and we really appreciate your guidance and your counsel and your wisdom, because you've been doing this for how many years?
50 years.
That's what I thought. 50 years.
I originally came up with a toy and patented it in 1972, and that toy was called Space Clusters. And it was like Tinker Toys, except instead of straight line.
You want to type that in for us, Brighton, please? Space Clusters.
Absolutely.
Instead of straight lines, everything was in curves. And instead of only one rod going into one opening, there you go. There's a vintage package. Wow, I'm going to buy them.
Yeah, you should. Of course, you need to have it.
Fine.
Well, someone better get them quick, because luckily we're not live.
Right. I'll tell you this. The ones that say Space Clusters, some are good and some aren't. Somebody started making them after I quit, and they break, and they're not. This package right here, the Space Cluster, the red one, not the black one.
Yeah.
Red packages.
Yeah.
That one right there.
That's you.
Kind. If you can find them, buy them.
Wow.
Because they still work.
Wow.
They're 50 years old already.
I want to I'm definitely going to get myself some, 100%. Those would look beautiful in my daughter's room.
You know, what this has done and what this does is, without any conscious mathematics or anything else, it's not in the knowing, it's in the doing. It's not intellectual, it's in the happening. There's no no translation that's necessary. And what it shows you is a flow. There are no, when you have curves, there's no straight lines. If there's no straight lines, there's no cutoffs. Everything flows into one thing, flows into another thing. And I use the geometry to come up with concepts of economics. How do you get goods and services to every part of the structure? Well, you can follow the geometry. How does the geometry do it? And that's what space clusters, that's how I learned all this stuff. I know nothing about mathematics. You start talking to me about math and you lost me in the first 22 seconds.
Right, right. Yeah, I didn't let Brighton know too much. Yeah, it's more intuitive. It's like intuitive math.
It's one foot after the other foot, not knowing anything other than moving one foot over the other foot. If you're going the wrong way, it'll tell you you're going the wrong way.
It's all about being a visionary and seeing it.
All about the doing.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to have any interest in mathematics or the universe or anything else. When you start putting things together and they go together, it's self-evident how the universe works.
Yep. And how they nest and how they fit, and sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't fit.
And if they don't fit, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
So instead of 5 regular solids, there's really truly 6.
You got me sold, that's for sure. Now
6th regular solid.
Now, when can we get this in the books? And are people talking about it yet? Like, I mean, on a larger mainstream level?
Yes, I have. Pretty much over these past 50 years is I've been Facebook. Facebook I feel like Paul, or I think it was Paul that was the fisher of people. I put images on Facebook and put them online, and people have contacted me over the years. Gee, what is this? What's that? And I've built up pretty much around the world a following.
That's awesome. That's how I heard about you on Sonic Geometry. Immediately when I saw you, I was like, I got to contact this guy.
Different people over the years have found me, and I don't really proselytize or go out there or advertise. I just put it out there, and it's like throwing a hook into the water and see who bites.
Yeah.
And this year it seems that it's all coming together.
Indeed, it is. There's a lot of construction going on and a lot of people moving forward.
Google Try on Ray just for kicks. See what comes up. Or
you could Google it and then also try Go Fish or whatever it is. What's that other one? DuckDuckGo.
Try on Ray is R-E, not R-A-Y, but it still comes up. There you go. So Google's got me pretty well covered. Or if you put in geometry of light.
Yeah. Oh, the first people that came up. Hang on, go back to Trayon Ray. Can you please?
Absolutely.
The first people that come up, Becoming Borealis. That's David. That's like how also what we started the Electric View partially off of. The second one is the U.1. That's me. The third one is Becoming Borealis. That's David. The fourth one is the U.1. That's me. YouTube. Okay, you're the fifth. Sixth is Michael Evans. But that's probably just because you've been searching stuff that that's like been on mine. So it's already on your radar. As far as like search engine goes.
What I found interesting is I'm finding regular science articles that mention Tryon. So I guess I've sort of got into the lexicon of scientific terms.
Good, as well you should be, and people should be talking about these and how they. I had a deep vision about these, extremely deep, but they were oscillating and they were moving and they were liquid,
Well,
and that's
that
what it is.
are.
Yeah, yeah. And then I started talking to you, and I called you, and we started talking more, and it was just like I just realized that like the almost like a liquid bra, like the only thing that I could think of, like a lens that's liquid to try to like mess around with and try to figure out how to play with and see, was like those liquid bra things that are clear. That's
It would,
like,
it would be, I think what we're moving into is a new geometry called dynamic geometry,
yes.
because everything is in motion. That
Hmm.
triad ray that you have on the image right now, the 2 points expand and contract, like a pulse, like a heart.
Hmm.
And that pulse, you've heard that expression, the universe is powered by the wings of a butterfly.
First time, but hey, first time for everything.
Well, there has been, there has been many years ago, scientist Smolin or one of those guys,
Oh yeah, the chaos theory,
he came up with, with it only
butterfly
one,
effect.
right. Butterfly wings are making you
Yeah.
get it started. It pumps into another. Each point is connected to another point,
Hmm.
and at each one of those points, it creates a magnetic field, a north and a south, and they start to combine. Since it's spinning, it's like a generator,
So
creating magnetic fields.
who was the first person to discover the hyperbolic platonic solids? Are you the first person to start modeling these?
And
Yeah,
naming
I think so, because in the beginning, when I was making the toy, I went to New York to the toy show, and a gentleman by the name of Edmund came up to my booth. He owns a company called Edmund Scientific, and they sell scientific surplus items. And he comes up to my booth and he sees all these geometric structures floating around in my booth. And he said, "What do you call those?" Well, what? And I realized that I had to come up with names for all this different kind of curved geometry because nobody had in the past. So instead of this coming from the past, it worked just the opposite. I started buying science books that had pictures. If it had just formulas, forget it, I didn't bother. But if it had pictures, I'd buy it. And I try to find the structures that I was building every day in these books, and I couldn't find them. They weren't there. So the information that I put out is not from the past. It's really, truly from the future.
Okay. There was some questions I wanted to ask you about your honeycombs, well, your space filling structures. Now, looking into the Tryon ray and its structure, it appears to be, if you're familiar with the Reuleaux triangle, which is what we've been talking about today, yeah, it seems to be that there's a Reuleaux triangle, one of these right here, in the center of your structure, right through this area. And then it breaks into two.
I'll tell you how this started and I'll answer your question.
Okay.
I got it in my hand. Give me the screen.
All right.
Me. Here's your triangle that you're talking about, right?
you just got to click on his screen to make him full.
How do I do that?
I think Brighton can.
Okay.
Maybe click on your screen and do full screen on his face. If you click on his face.
On here, or I don't have his. I don't know.
Do you see his face on your screen, Michael Evans?
I want to see
I don't see his face on my screen. No, I don't.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I've turned my screen share off. Is it still on?
Yeah, you got to turn your screen share off.
I thought I did. Okay, well, let me try going back to the call.
Let's see.
Because I'm holding up the clue triangle.
Okay, yeah, we can see a little bit. That's fine.
This is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, what about this?
Yeah.
What
Wow.
about this? What about this?
That's the same shape, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're just rotating it.
So here's how it all started, gentlemen. In 1968, 65, something like that, Buckminster Fuller was teaching a class at the Bauhaus, one from Germany. But during the Second World War, they left Germany and came to the United States. And wow, where's my Ryan Ray? Someone steal it? So anyway, they came to the United States and they went to the University of Illinois, IIT. And Bucky was giving a lecture and he was telling his design students, look for the universal intersection, because if you find the universal intersection, that's all you got to make, because everything will fit into it. Well, this gentleman, this artist that I knew, Robert Auerbach, was in that class, and he was later working for Continental Can in package design. Now, the secret in package design and making displays is knowing where to cut. If you take your sacred geometry flower of life and you cut the outside Reuleaux triangle out and you score the inside, you make what was two-dimensional, three-dimensional, right before your very eyes. No strength, no anything, but all you do is by curving it and scoring it, you now have the negative space of your Reuleaux triangle. Same as this. So Auerbach went home and he blew up a whole mess of balloons. And he tied them all together and he took plaster of Paris and started putting plaster of Paris inside the spaces between the balloons. And he hung it up from the ceiling. And one day the string broke and the plaster of Paris had all dried. And in the center was all the plaster showing all these different geometric curvatures looking almost like dinosaur bones. And since Auerbach knew how to know where to score and where to cut, he started getting out his compass and cutting out the Reuleaux triangle, then scoring the inside and started putting them together. And he came up with this shape right here, which I call a cluster. Now, to make a cluster, you need 3 Tryon rays. 1, 2, 3. And you got the first possible explanation of a plane, because I don't believe that there is a first or second dimension. I believe from what I've seen in making my models that the first dimension doesn't exist. It's a concept in our brains. And the second dimension doesn't exist because everything must have breadth. And this is the closest thing to having breadth. It would be as closest thing as you'd have to a plane. And 6 Tryon rays. I got a Tryon ray that was sitting right here in front of my desk, and it is no longer here. I swear to God, somebody must have walked off with it.
That's fine. We can't really see too much of your screen anyway. You're a tiny little bubble, so your visuals are tiny.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let's go to get off the visual anyway. It's a waste. At any rate, so then we started putting these together. and then you get two of them together. God, there must be a way that you can see the full screen.
We can.
I'm seeing a full screen right now.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
I'm not. I wonder if you're recording it on full screen or if it's going to be full screen. I hope it is. Sometimes I just whatever. Keep going.
You
You're
have to
good.
go back to Skype, like click Skype, and then it should bring it right up.
All right, keep going. You're good, Michael.
All right. So these are two of them put together. And if you keep going, you'll get a sphere, a perfect sphere, and you'll get the flower of life. So if you want to do this on your own and follow the path, so then what he did, the interesting thing what he did, was he took two of the triangles and he glued them, the centers together, so it was like an envelope. Understand? Then he cut the points off and started sticking rods into the points and connecting these different intersections, which were like this.
Oh yeah.
Let me grab my. All right. And then he made them out of plastic. And what was happening is that the points were breaking, and then you cut off the points and you put in the. Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
My first customer was the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Space clusters, special package for the Museum of Modern Art. So anyway, that's how it got started, by the space between the balloons. And this is a space cluster that a kid in New York figured out when they come to my booth when I was in the department stores, because I was in every major department store and in the United States, every major museum in the United States sold space clusters. And he made this, he said, look what you can make, an infinite amount of things. And the intersection, which is your recluse triangle interior with the points cut off. And it flies. Anyway, that's how it started, with your recluse triangle, but knowing where to cut and knowing where to score. Now I build structures, all kinds of structures using these pieces. And not only are there threes like this, but there's fours, fives, sixes, sevens, eights, nines, and they all have a common element. They all fit together on the cusp. They all fit together. And so when I started building structures and putting them together, then I saw, I didn't know the trion ray existed yet. Let me grab one. So I kept putting them together and putting them together, and I started making models. Here's a trion ray. You see it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't see it, it's kind of ridiculous. Well, I kept seeing this shape lacing all of the other structures. When I put 4 tetrahedrons together, the center part of the 4 tetrahedrons would become an octahedron. So as you started to build, all the other geometric structures there's an order of events. The first event is the trion ray. The second event is the cluster. Now the cluster is the space between. Got it?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So to make one cluster, you need 3 trion rays.
Mm-hmm.
To make one tetrahedron, you need 6 trion rays. To make one octahedron, you need 4 tetrahedrons. And then once you put those together in a curved space, you see the ultimate space between. So in all the structures, from the tetrahedron to the octahedron to the cube to the dodecahedron to the icosahedron, placed on every edge that we can have a straight line, instead of a straight line, we put a trion ray. That's pretty much, you know, that's what it is. And I built structures. I went to see Bucky. He was at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, and he was having a show there, and so was I. And it happened to be his birthday. So I was invited to his birthday party at the museum, and we started talking, and he just was building his fly's eye dome. And I had a big sphere that I had made using my space clusters. And we talked about it and all, and I mentioned when he talked about the universal intersection and so forth and so on. So I went home, and with my space clusters, I tried to build a buckyball. And that's 5 surrounded by 6s. Well, there was no way that ball would stand up with rods. Remember, my toy got rods in them that are just little pieces of plastic. They don't have much strength to them at all. So when I built the sphere, 5s and 6s, it just sort of had no shape whatsoever. Well, I started to try and build from the outside inside. What did the inside look like? Bucky described the outside, but what did the inside look like? Let's see if I can share a screen. Well, we'll do that later. So it got way too confusing. It was going in too many different ways. So I stopped. And I started just doing what I knew how to do, tetrahedrons. And I started making tetrahedrons and connecting them together. Then all of a sudden, octahedrons would show up in the center of 4 tetrahedrons. And as I kept going, there'd be more octahedrons and more tetrahedrons. And I'd build a 10 tetra. Would reproduce itself into a larger tetrahedron. Then I built another 10 tetrahedrons and put them together. And I built another, and I did 20 of them. And I put all those 20 together, and I was looking for the 5s and 6s. And I couldn't find them until I got to a certain point, and all of a sudden I saw a 5 show up, and then a 6 on the side, another 6, and another 6. And I realized that I built the sphere all the way to the core, not just the surface. Now, I did, it was all experiential. It was all experiential. There was no knowing what it was going to be or how it was going to be or anything else. I gave up on trying to make the sphere. Mm-hmm. Then I saw it all the way to the core, and I realized that the core of a sphere, that empty space of a sphere, is not empty. You must be able to describe every single part with no spaces in between that don't work. When I say spaces in between that don't work, that aren't geometrically, that don't fit, like a puzzle. Mm-hmm. All the pieces have to fit. Now, I see a lot of people make geometric structures and they leave spaces out and they call it a complete structure, but it's not, because there's empty spaces. A buckyball is an empty ball. But a Mickey ball, which is what I called it once I built it, is described all the way to the core. So the core of the Mickey ball is an icosahedral form. The next phase of the ball is a dodecahedron form, and at the end of the dodecahedron form, you get an icosahedral truncated, which becomes a sphere. If you truncate the dodecahedron, you have a sphere. And there it was, and I built it 3 times. I built it in Chicago once, I built a museum in Laguna Beach, California once, and I built one on the 4th of July, 1976 on the beach, and added 200 balloons to it. and launched it into space.
This is awesome. This is really pioneering because these shapes were going up into space back in the 70s. That's awesome to hear that.
I had a crowd there. I put an ad in the paper because I was still selling my space clusters. It was all part of my space cluster presentation. And a kid came to me and said, "Well, how high will that go?" I said, "Well, it could go to outer space." "No, it can't go to outer space. It can't be. It'll blow. The balloons will pop and so forth and so on." I said, "Yeah, that's true. But you believe in UFOs?" And he says, "Yeah, that's possible." I said, "Well, if a UFO sees this structure floating in space, he's going to know whoever built that structure knows how the universe goes together. And they're not supposed to make any contact, but they're going to take it, put it aboard their ship, and take it back to their world."
Nice.
Three.
That would be awesome if that did happen.
It may have. My wife kidnapped a long time ago.
So, for the sake of time, we're in the middle of describing this stuff. Brighton, do you have any more questions for Michael? Or Michael, would you like to share your screen for a little bit? Either one of you guys.
Share my screen.
You said you.
Two little squares that are in the bottom right-hand corner. And they're next to each other. If you click that, it will allow you. Actually, you're sharing right now, so.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
You want to see images?
Yep. Now, yeah. Anything you want to show us, we're all yours.
I'm going to show you some images. This was done by my friend in Denmark. Everybody that's come to me has the same passion that all of us do for geometry.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's one that.
And last time we spoke, you hadn't spoke too much with Terrence, and now I hear you're talking more with Terrence. That's good.
Well, I'm talking to a lot of different people that are into what we're into, and after 50 years, it seems that there's more people that are interested.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This is a Tryon ray twisting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, like jelly.
Yeah.
That looks like one of your structures, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is when you start getting into this stuff, they all kind of look like each other because what we're all doing is hyperbolic geometry here with this.
These are images using this geometry and moving it around.
I'm loving the hyperbolic dodecahedron there. Yeah, that your mouse is right on.
Or this one.
And that looks like a truncated octahedron.
No, that's way up there. That's up in the dodecahedral form.
Oh, that's an icosahedron.
Could be.
Yeah.
This is
Brighton's good with his names, so he could help if you're wondering the names of some of these shapes, let you know some of them.
Yeah. This is a cube in morphing. This is a cube vibrating. This is cube. This is a cube. This is a cube.
Beautiful.
Yeah, these shapes are gorgeous.
And they've never ever. This one is sound, but it's not for publication. Here's cubes being formed in the process of making a Mickey ball. There's an order of events. Nothing exists out of context. This is an octahedron right here in vibration mode.
Wow. Yeah, if you're familiar, there's with honeycombs, space-filling honeycomb structures. You see that tab right where there with the hyperbolic octahedrons.
Mm-hmm.
That is it appears like and there's a Reuleaux tetrahedrons between them. So
Yeah.
that would be the isotropic vector equilibrium that's so popular these days. But its honeycomb is the tetraoctahedral honeycomb, and it's made out of tetrahedrons and octahedrons only. But this shows how these honeycombs could breathe, how
The,
they
cen- the center of that structure is a vector equilibrium.
yeah, the cuboctahedron, how its center to side length is equal to its vector to side length, and that's why it's called the isotropic vector equilibrium. I'm not sure if I had that 100%, but beautiful. And there are many honeycombs and morphologies, and it becomes apparent that crystals or uh, plants and patterns in viruses and all these structures relate to these space-filling honeycombs. They don't leave any space between the protein bonds or the compositions of the atom molecules.
Every possible shape falls into following these patterns. Remember, it's dynamic. It's constantly in flux. We can't really, let's see what we can do here.
Where is the best place to find all of your work online, or as much of it as you can?
MichaelREvans.com.
MichaelEvans.com?
Michael R.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Now here's a launch that I did of a tetrahedral, 10 tetrahedrons. Here's a show. This is a Mickey ball that I did in the Laguna Beach Museum. The red is the outside, the white is the inside, is the egg white, and in the center is a blue icosahedron. So
Could you click on it and make it larger, please?
You just need to double click it. Yeah.
It was the 4th of July, so I did a red, white, and blue sphere with 13 icosatrines floating around it and red and white bars of octahedrons. So this is a Mickey ball. This is a complete sphere. The red is the outside section, the white is the midsection, and the blue is the core, which is one of these icosahedral forms. On each one of these triangles of an icosahedron, 9 tetrahedrons come out. And that's what this is. This is 180 tetrahedrons it takes to make one icosahedron. So there's a ratio. There's a ratio. It's in context. And once you get to a sphere, it builds out another sphere and another sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And also, which I've just realized in the last few years, besides doing it with just tetrahedrons, you could also do it with just octahedrons. If you start putting octahedrons together, you put 4 octahedrons together, you get one vector equilibrium in the middle. And you keep putting those together, and you'll wind up with a Mickey ball built out of octahedrons instead of tetrahedrons.
The truncated octahedral honeycomb as a hyperbolic set. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, there's
Now, I'd like to build that one more time, and I'm hoping I get a chance to do it with either one of my guys out there. But I know I got enough parts to do one more, and I don't want to build it because you can't get that out of the door. That's 6 feet in diameter, gentlemen.
That's huge.
It's small as 6 foot in diameter.
I want to see them. I want to see them moving out on the beach. I want to see them become part of sculptures, like put a fulcrum on there and they could move easily.
Well,
A couple of fulcrums, a sail, and they'd be moving around like viruses.
Well, it's, you know, if you come up with the intersection is the key. The tubes and the line, the things, you could use regular PVC pipe. And those are, each rod is only 1 foot long. If you use a 6-foot rod, think how big that would be.
Oh yeah.
Or a 3-foot rod.
And you could make the rods with anything really,
Yeah, right.
as long as it has give.
It flexes.
Yeah.
As long as it flexes.
Mm-hmm.
You could build optic fiber intersections. You could build what do you got inside your computer?
Hard drives and malware and stuff like that.
Well, hard drives. And you wouldn't have to worry about it overheating because there's enough space in between that would keep it cool.
All right.
You could build materials that you could build plywood that you'd have to tie down so it doesn't float away. It's mostly air. We know that. We know that we're mostly air.
Yeah. Foams are
right. Well,
foams are a big important thing.
Exactly.
Do you think you could also build like structures that send pressure?
I went to NASA back in '73 and said, "Look, you guys, if you start building your spaceships like this instead of the way you're doing them, you can keep putting up parts and parts and parts and putting them all together, and eventually you'll wind up with your own moon, and you'll wind up with all the space inside of the outside for free." He said, "Mike, that's a great idea. However, we've already got our design. We've already spent our money, and we're not changing it. It wasn't invented here."
They're like, "We've already built a moon. Thank you." It comes out every night.
That Mickey ball, if that was made out of something besides that little knitting needle that I used, you could go to the bottom of the ocean and never have to think about that sucker ever collapsing. Impossible. Because the stress points have been distributed so perfectly. If you built an economic system around that structure right there, you know that every part in that structure would get whatever it needed because it would be easy to get there. There's no cutoffs. Everything merges into everything else. There's no 90-degree angles that cut off. There's no cutoffs. In curved space, there's no cutoffs. Mm-hmm. The distance between the points changes from the curvature of the vibration.
Yeah, whether it's whether it's higher frequency, lower frequency, depends on the shape of the size of not only the filaments, but also the nodes themselves, which are these geodesic forms that we're showing off.
When you're composing structures that are more, as you were saying before, 4 cube octahedrons and 4 octahedrons and a cube octahedron in the center, which is the cuboctahedral honeycomb. I'm curious if the trion ray becomes more, rather than a Reuleaux triangle in the center, it becomes more based on a rounded sort of square.
Everywhere you see a point connected is a trion ray. Here's a dichositry, the core of a Mickey ball. There's 20 faces. Each one of those faces would accommodate either an octahedron or a tetrahedron. Each one of those lines is a trion ray. The flow creates the form.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The flow creates the form. The space between creates the thing.
Yeah, if you want to see the why things are a certain shape. It's because of the circuits or the streams or the rivers that we're in,
Here's the
what we're
space.
around.
Here's the space between 10 spheres. Here's building. This is building an icosatrine. You have to know how to do it. If you don't, otherwise there's so many things happening that here are the, what happened? What did I do with it? What happened? There it is. This is the, here are the basics of the Mickey ball. The yellow is the icosahedral core. The red is the next, is the beginning of a dodecahedron, and then another dodecahedron goes around that, and then the complete sphere is the white. So these are the cages, the three cages. This is the lateral. There's no verticals in this. This is all laterals.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's only taken 50 years, gentlemen, to get an audience here.
Well, some people die without seeing anything in any respect, you know, for their long time trying to spread an idea.
So here's the space cluster kit that I made. This top one, this yellow one, is a tetrahedron, an octahedron, and an icosahedron. And this forms a cube. If I was to turn it and connect these points, it would be the space between a cube. And in my instructions of space clusters, I put the makers of space clusters have purposely limited the examples of what can be made so as not to limit your own imagination. Do your own thing. Good luck. Have fun. Me. I'm Master Evans' product. U.S. patent. And all you got to learn to do is stick a rod into the slice of the hole, and it'll be start connecting. Couldn't be any simpler than that.
Yeah, that's super simple. So my question is, when are you going to bring it back? 2020. Here we go. Come on, 2020 campaign.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the Museum of Modern Art. I'll tell you, I have had two people that are in a position. I'm done. I'm not leaving my hilltop. I live on top of a hill. I got a gate. I got a fence all around, and I'm not leaving my space. So somebody's got to step up to the plate, and that just may happen here. Lately, things are happening. People are contacting me from all over the world. There's a Mickey ball.
Gorgeous.
All the geometric forms are created in the process of creating the sphere.
Yeah, that's the
Cube's in there. The dodecahedron is in there. The icosahedron's in there. The cube is in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then the outside structure is the Mickey ball that you're calling it is the truncated icosahedron.
Correct.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Or a buckyball. It's a buckyball on the outside. Fives surrounded by sixes.
Oh yeah.
But
that reminds me of like the flower of life that the Chinese the dogs, food dogs.
The food dog.
Yeah.
Well, you want to see the food dog? I got the food dog right here. I got your food dog.
And this food dog, it was guarding a secret of the universe, and it was put there on purpose to symbolize the sacredness of this structure. That one who found out what the structure was would have the answer to the universe.
Well, gentlemen, that's what's kept my interest for 50 years.
Wow. Okay. So what's inside the if that's just on the ball there?
That's part of a Mickey ball sliced into three spaces. The yellow part, the yolk, is an icosahedral form.
Gorgeous.
So what's inside the temple? Where that in that Chinese temple?
I don't know what's inside the temple.
If that's just the
I know,
ball that's
I
guarding
know,
it.
I know what's inside the. All right, so here's how I found the Mickey ball. I mean the Tryon Ray. I started making tetrons. I call this because it's not a tetrahedron because it's got these curved spaces on the edges. Not a straight line. It's a cusp. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
kept putting these together, and when you shoot light through this, you get lenses. Optics. The world of optics has changed. These are optics that have never been seen before. So the whole world of optics has got a whole new place to go play. So I kept seeing this negative space. You see what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The cusps. And I saw that lacing every single structure. So I knew that. Then I made a mold of that space, and I made the negative space into positive space. Now here's an icosahedral form. This is a show I did in LA for a woman by the name of Margaret Wertheim, who does knitted coral reefs. She's a physicist. But the red is an icosahedron. The black is 4 octahedrons connected together. And the yellow is 10 tetranes, 1/20th of the Mickey ball. So if you build this structure and you put 19 more of them, you'll come up with a sphere. And in the process, make all the rest of the regular polyhedra.
Now I'm seeing that you're diagramming this. Is that glass? Is that crystal? Are you sending
That's polyester.
polyester?
I made a mold. I made them out of paper, out of the papers that I showed you before. I
Yeah.
put those together. Then I'd make mold material, put mold material around the paper. Then I'd open it up and take the paper out, and I'd have the mold, and then I'd pour polyester in, and then I'd spend an incredible amount of time polishing it so it became clear and optic.
Have there been any works done on sending light through these Tryon ray structures?
Oh, I do all the time. Don't go away. Wait 1 second. Let me grab my laser. Right here, somewhere.
Good question, Brighton.
Yeah.
Do I have a screen? All right, here you go. You see this?
You got a thing in front of your screen, yeah.
Yeah, you got to click on your face.
And I got thousands of images, gentlemen. We're not going through thousands.
Just quick, on your Skype page, you're gonna click the green arrow. You have a red, then a yellow, then a green. So click the green one right near where the X is to exit out of the page. It's on the top left-hand corner of the Skype page. Yeah. There we go. Now you're full screen.
So I made the structure, and I took a laser, and I put a laser, and I'm shooting the laser in the opposite direction of the point. And notice how it's coming out the other side.
Oh, wow.
Then I knew the Tryon ray was light, the geometry of light, because it automatically, even though I'm pointing the laser away from the point, I'm not pointing it that way. I'm pointing it away from it. As soon as it hits that point, it's transferred to the other side. Now, if I have another Tryon ray at this side, it's going to go to that one, and then keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going.
It's beautiful.
That's just one. Let's grab a tetrahedron.
Oh, wow. Now, with photons, how they come together, see, a photon isn't just like light isn't just one photon. It's multiple photons that come together in a construct and build together, and they kind of become a larger light source structure.
Everything I showed you is light.
Yeah.
Everything that I showed you is light. Every one of those structures is made following this particular structure.
Now, is there a cellular automaton to this? Have you looked into animating the structure in a way where it turns off and on in certain components?
The problem is that a lot of these programs are catching up to being able to do the vibrations that we need to do, to twist, to turn, to contract, to expand. In the very beginning, 20, 30 years ago, when I tried to do that, they wouldn't twist far enough. They would just snap back. We had to wait till programs were created that would do the things that we needed to do to show what you're talking about. So that's going to happen. I need to move up into a more sophisticated. Research is expensive. And I've spent a fortune getting this far. And I'm through. I have no more to do that. Here's your vector equilibrium.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, and that is the truncate, pardon me, that's the cube octahedral honeycomb.
Correct.
Yeah, but with hyperbolic sets.
Made from octahedrons. Takes 8 octahedrons to make one vector equilibrium.
Yeah. I'm working on a structure that takes these honeycombs and morphs them between each other. So it takes like what you just showed, the truncated cube octahedral honeycomb, and it morphs it into this. It morphs it into the truncated the tetraoctahedral honeycomb. It morphs it into these different structures through another mechanic that actually uses square bipyramids or spherical bipyramids that may or may not be hyperbolic, but they're similar to the Tryon ray as a
You'll have to show
bipyramid.
Brighton. You'll have to show him.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull that up. That is absolutely gorgeous.
This is 4 vector equilibriums and 10 octahedrons, making a tetrahedral form.
Wow.
Now, I put 20 of these together, I'll get a vector equilibrium sphere.
Yeah. And do you know what solid that would be?
What solid it would be?
Oh, wouldn't it be a cube octahedron? Yeah, with the
What's a cube octahedron is a vector equilibrium, correct?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'm calling it a vector equilibrium. You're calling it a cube octahedron.
Yeah,
same thing. You're saying sphere form. You're talking about the cube octahedral.
4 vector equilibriums and 10 octahedrons make this tetrahedral form.
Oh yeah.
20 of these put around an icosahedron. Each triangle of the icosahedron would be one of these. And you got it all done, you'd have a sphere. And you'd have cubes and tetrahedron and all sorts of other different geometric forms created in the process.
All right. If I can share my screen real quick.
1 second before you do that.
Absolutely.
You hear a lot about the what do you call it? The donut. What do they call it? My mind is
Torus, tube torus.
Right. This is a torus.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah, I see a pentagon in the center as well.
Well,
3D
yeah,
printed.
because this is part of the Mickey ball. This is the meridian, the meridian of a Mickey ball. Remember I showed you a picture of the 3 slices?
Yeah.
Icosahedron in the center?
Did you get it 3D printed?
Yes.
Nice. It's gorgeous. How much does one of those cost? 100 or something?
This is made of cornstarch. If I went crunch, it would be powder.
Oh, really?
Again, a friend of mine did this for me for minimal. He was doing it in schoolwork.
Okay.
But I'd like to do them out of clear plastic.
Yeah, that'd be gorgeous, like Terrence is doing.
And then shoot that laser into one of these and see how the whole thing lights up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right along the points.
Right.
That'd be gorgeous.
Not only gorgeous, it would be very useful in creating circuits. So when people get all excited, Foster Gamble and Thrive people, when they're talking about their torus, well, the torus is just the center of a Mickey ball.
A Mickey ball can be collapsed, yeah, to turn into
Well, this is in the process of a Mickey ball. I told you, all the other geometric forms are created in the process of making a Mickey ball. And if they're not in that first process, then when you put 5 million trillion Mickey balls together, you'll find what you're looking for. Because the Mickey ball morphs into more Mickey balls.
And then it just goes on and on and on.
On and on until it gets to my penis.
Brighton, Mike, do you mind if we switch over to Brighton? He's got this really cool thing that relates to both my structure and your structure, and kind of puts them together in a way. Whenever you're ready, Brighton. I think he's probably already on it.
Do I have to turn something off to do that?
No, you should be good. He can just take it whenever he.
Stop sharing.
Brighton, you there? He might have stepped out for a second. There you at. All right. So Brighton, we're all set for you to show Michael the what do you call it, the Brilliant set?
Yeah, yes, it's called the Brilliant set. I'm still working on the components. It's a long ways from ready, but it takes, let's see, it takes these honeycombs. So if I pull this back to the beginning, and right there, those are cube octahedrons, and they morph into truncated octahedrons, making the bitruncated cubic honeycomb, which is space filling, and then that morphs into into octahedrons, which is the reverse cuboctahedral. It's the same honeycomb as the cuboctahedral honeycomb, but it's reverse. And so the thing about this is that, well, all these, if I'm going to pull up my photos. Yeah. It should be right here. I don't know why it's not coming right up. Let me go back and set this up. Okay, here we go. Now, this right here shows many of the honeycombs in the Brilliant set, it shows they're all named right here, the truncated tetraoctahedral, rhombic dodecahedral, and so on. But what they do is they morph between one another. So it kind of diagrams sound or movement of honeycombs or crystalline growth. And it shows a way using frustums in a matrix setting that completely alters the structure. And now the square bipyramid isn't the only structure to do this with. The only one that I focused on for this is the square bipyramid, but there's also the hexagonal bipyramid or the octahedral bipyramid. And what you have is, this is from Wiki, I was showing it earlier, are structures that morph in simple functions like this. I'm still modeling the actual morphing, but it takes all these honeycombs that are in that you're diagramming with the Tryon ray, and it allows them to morph between one another as well. So these are no longer stable solids that just breathe in and out, but they also morph between the different honeycombs that are found in all sorts of different crystalline structures or protein bondings, and it diagrams a cymatical view for how structure is space filling and the way it morphs.
Are you ready to show him a video of it expanding and contracting like the triangles? You know, the same set, the Brilliant set, how it expands and contracts. I thought she showed me a video. I thought that would really hit home with Michael looking like a Tryon ray.
Okay, I'm trying
It's
to
hard
think.
if you don't have curved lines.
Well, the thing is, the structure can be composed with hyperbolic geometry. It currently
Yes,
is not, but the mechanics still functions the same if it's composed with Euclidean or hyperbolic. I'm just yet to diagram it in a hyperbolic set, but
Right.
it's the exact same.
Yeah, I understand.
Morphing honeycomb. That's it, I think.
Yeah, and this was, well, I just played I only have 2 videos out right now, and I'm working on a third one for this, but this shows, and they're all expanding on the same structure. This is like the tricontahedron, rhombic tricontahedron, and then, it morphs between these shapes. And I'm currently diagramming a lot more beautiful video on this of how it morphs, but yeah. So between, like, where each one of these lines are, a Tryon ray could be placed.
Everywhere there's a straight line. There are no straight lines in the universe.
And I understand that because, when we look into theories on how dimensions work, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. We have, like, a cube, okay, and you try to break it into second-dimensional planes, and you stack these second-dimensional planes against one another, and they're supposed to fill the space of that cube. And a proof of this is that you can bisect the cube anywhere, and you'll have, but the 0 plus 0, when you're stacking these planes together, 0 to fill the cube, 0 plus 0 doesn't equal 1. So it's absurd to say that a second-dimensional plane or a line exists when we can't validate our dimensions through them.
Right. Well, that's why it's interesting to eliminate them, because that space and that shape is hidden. It's a space that can be occupied if we knew was there.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be more more in keeping with the real, actual geometry of the universe. And I know a lot's been done. It's the same thing in the straight line, but something occurs that you don't know exists. Like there's a space between those straight lines. We don't see it. I've got people that
All right,
I know
gentlemen.
that
It's getting a little late, and we're getting to about an hour and a half into the show. So if we got any closing remarks,
check out, go to my Facebook page and put in a friend request.
Yeah, I'm already friends with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Love to work together, absolutely. Oh, apparently I'm not friends with you. I thought I had sent one. Maybe, there we go.
There I am. Because then I can show you lots more images.
Yeah, we want to do more episodes, and like I said, I want to have you again on my podcast, Michael, shortly here. There's a lot of information that we can show between the Doherty set and your hyperbolic geometries and the set.
You see that blue one, that square one? That's like the one you showed, Brighton. The one next to the
blue one.
Wall? Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like the cuboctahedral. Pardon me. Yeah, cuboctahedral honeycomb. Looks just like it.
How'd you model that one?
That was done with space clusters. Actually, it was done with Geometron, another toy that I never came out with.
Okay.
And instead of using rods, we used collar stays. And it kept things in square patterns rather than curvatured patterns. It's much easier to make cubes. I'm talking to people right now about the possibility of coming out with the entire line.
There is a see, how do I say
You got
this?
to 3D print them, dude. You got to 3D print like a series of 15 shapes with a certain couple of size trion rays. You can have a medium wave, a long wave, and a short wave.
I like Trion Man.
Trion Man?
Yeah. Oh, stop. Yes. How about them oranges?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are those oranges?
No, those are balls. Those are kahunas right there.
Oh, those are oranges.
Well.
All right, gentlemen. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking with
pleasure.
Let's call it an evening, and we'll resume next time. Thank you, Michael, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both, Brighton. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Too.
And thank you.
Thank you. All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye. All right, Brighton. Oh, Brighton already left. All right. Talk to you next time, Michael. Episode 1, Season 1. Michael Evans. Episode 2. We have Clay Taylor coming up. You don't want to miss that one. Brighton Buddy Show is a Love is Watching production. Love is Watching. Thank you for doing that. A lot of exciting guests lined up for 2020 and coming up here for the end of 2019. Executive producers for the Brighton Buddy Show are Brighton Cotter and Buddy James.